On today's show, which NBA teams are going to make the biggest leap next season? I got Wemby Spurs, Ku has got Ja's Grizzlies, and we'll talk about some more on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show. We're making Locked On NBA your first listen today. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And joining me, we let him out. We let him talk about another team for once. From Locked On Pistons, what you got for me, Ku Khahil?
I'm a little bit excited, just a little bit. Not too crazy excited to not talk about the Pistons, just a little bit though. Finally talk about something that maybe brings a little bit more joy to the room. But yeah, I'm down for it. I'm ready.
Darth Ku got stronger and stronger as it went on last year.
Oh, the power, the dark side, the power of the dark side truly is something crazy.
He's even wearing all black today with the black hat and the black shirt.
You know what's crazy is that actually, real quickly, Locked On Mavs, I had a few listeners, I forget what event it was. I don't know if we
Tim
played
Hardaway.
you guys. Yeah, it might have been, no, because it was during the season. And I had a Locked On Mavs listener comment like, "Oh my God, this Darth Ku skit is like one of the best things at Locked On. I love this." And I was like, "Why is Locked On Mav listener listen to this?" But
I agree. No, hey, we have all kinds of listeners listen to all kinds of shows with us. It's kind of wild. Today's episode, we're going to get into the teams that we think are going to make the biggest leap. So we'll talk about the Grizzlies, we'll talk about the Hornets, we'll talk about some other teams, and of course, we'll play Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Kawhi Leonard. Where does he stand now? Can he stand right now? That's kind of maybe a question we need to ask. And then we'll get into some other questions about Jason Tatum's tattoo, Tony Allen's jersey, all that kind of stuff. But let's start here, Ku. The team I think is going to make one of the biggest leaps in the NBA next season. San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama. I'm all in. I'm all in on the Wemby experience. I made a big case on this show and on Locked On Mavs about Victor Wembanyama. He probably should have been the defensive player of the year last year. The way that he impacts defenses, the way that he led the league in blocks, but the way that he his on-off numbers were insane on a team that won 22 games last season for the Spurs. He also gave you 21 points. He gave you 10.5 rebounds. He gave you 4 assists, which is wild for a rookie big man. He gave you a steal, 3.5 blocks. This is not Locked On Fantasy, but he's giving you all those fantasy numbers because it's wild to look at a guy like that. And that was in his rookie year, averaging under 30 minutes a game. Now they're going to take that guardrails off of him. And I think adding Chris Paul, adding Harrison Barnes, they won 22 games last year. Their over-under on FanDuel is 36.5. If they hit the over, that's plus 15 wins. That's a huge leap to me.
yeah, and someone in the Pistons community actually went through like previous seasons, and they went throughout NBA history, teams that finished at the bottom of the league with some of the worst records, what the average jump was for teams like that the following year. And I believe the average, it may be a bit off, but I believe it was around 7.5. So 15 games is quite a bit of a jump. But look, I don't think you're going out on a limb with this, because Wemby is quite literally like a demigod, and he's going to be the greatest player of all time. This is a player who
Already?
Yeah, he's going to be.
We've seen 1 year. You've seen 71 games and the Olympics.
I was saying this before he even played in the NBA. He's going to be the dude. Do you see the stuff he does? Do you like?
I've seen it. I've seen it in person. I've been there. I saw it in person at Summer League the first time he played. I saw it in Dallas. I've seen it.
For my listeners out there that play 2K, he quite literally is like the demigod from 2K15. Like literally 7'3", can do literally everything. Can dribble, shoot. He's a cheat code. He's going to be the greatest of all time.
When we were kids and you used to sit there and create your own player and make him 7'4" and do everything, like this is what we created.
Yeah, no, he's quite literally a demigod. He's an alien. So, but I will say this: the one thing that has me, I want to say hesitant on going with you on this, but just thinking about it a little bit, is that they didn't really go out and make those big splashes that like many people thought that maybe they would. After how Wemby looked his rookie year, maybe they thought that, hey, let's speed this up on his rookie contract. He's ready to go. They did add Harrison Barnes. I do like the CP3 addition. I don't know how much he has left, but just having his veteran leadership and his ability to run an offense and kind of get Wemby in his spots, I don't think you'll see as many ignored alley-oops that, we saw last year with Wemby, where he had a lot of easy baskets maybe passed up on. But they didn't do like any crazy addition. So that would be my one pushback to it. But yeah, I don't think you're going on a limb too much. I mean, Wemby, him doing what he did in less than 30 minutes, you assume he's going to be above like close to 35 at least, right, this year. So it's like,
do you remember the Spurs at the beginning of last season when they had Jeremy Sohan starting at point guard? The difference between Jeremy Sohan and that disaster starting at point guard and Chris Paul, even 40-year-old, 37-year-old Chris Paul starting at point guard, to me, is that worth 5 wins itself?
I mean, it definitely is worth a few. I know a lot of Spurs fans were screaming, I believe, for Trey Jones to just play. Because like he and Trey Jones was the only one who really like looked for Wemby and like ran an offense. They were begging. I saw for months.
Was a point guard.
For him to play. But yeah, even if CP3 doesn't have much left, what he brings, what he'll always be able to bring until he's like 60 years old, is just the ability to know how to run a pick and roll and how to set people up and get an offense flowing. So I do like that addition. Just, I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were gonna make a bigger swing this offseason, but I'd still take the over.
They did. Yeah, they didn't. They added, Stephon Castle, and they added him in the draft, and they got a lot of young players. Devin Vassell signed that big deal. He's 23, going to be 24. They've got Jeremy Sohan, 20, going to be 21. Keldon Johnson, still young, 24, 25. Trey Jones, 25. Malachi Branham, going to be 21. Like they've got a bunch of young guys. So it's one of those things where you add kind of another piece. You add it like a steadying figure in Chris Paul, and then you just like, all right, let's bring all these guys together. Let's get them. Let's get all these guys going in the right direction, because it didn't seem like they were going in the right direction at times last year. And that's how you get to 22 wins. I know that you have no experience following a team that gets to 22 wins, but that's how you get there, is when everybody's not necessarily going the same direction.
Yeah, so I'll go with you. I agree with you with the over.
Yeah,
I do think it'll be close, but I'll take the over with it.
It's going to be tough in the West, though, for them to hit that over, to get to 37. I mean, you're getting close to 500 basketball, and that's tough to add. That's it. I think that'll require a leap from somebody else besides Wembanyama. Maybe another Vassell leap. Maybe, Keldon Johnson. Does he have anything? Does he have another kind of leap in him? Is it somebody else that steps up? Is it Castle? But yeah, your next one. Give me the Hornets one. Give me the case on the Hornets, because I went through this and I don't know that I'm with you on the Hornets making a leap.
So look, I'll say this. I have been one of the main people, I'd say, like outside the Hornets community. I think people inside the Hornets community obviously probably feel this way, but I've been one of the main people outside of that community that is pretty high on what they're building over there. I think all of it depends on LaMelo being healthy. Like if LaMelo's healthy and plays a full season, like if he can play like the 75 games he played his second season, like when he was an all-star.
How many years ago?
I mean, it was 2 years ago, so hopefully, hey, get them ankle braces on, dude. Like, come on, like, please, just put them ankle braces
wear them,
on.
Just wear them, bud.
Like, just do it. But look, LaMelo staying healthy, I think immediately just launches them to another level, because I do think LaMelo is legit. Like, I don't agree with the whole, he's a what is it, garbage stats or just putting up stats on a bad team kind of thing. No, I think LaMelo is legitimately good. A really, really good basketball player. I think he's an all-star caliber player. So I think most of this is coming from simply how high I am on LaMelo Ball and him simply being healthy. But along with that, they did bring back Miles Bridges, who is a fine player. And I really, I'll go ahead and take the loss on this one. I was not as high on Brandon Miller coming out the draft. I had him like, I wouldn't say extremely low, but I had him much lower than second. Coming out the draft, and he looked phenomenal his rookie year. So if he can continue to grow like how he did his rookie year, and you get LaMelo Ball back at all-star play and health, just staying healthy. Along with that, I really like Mark Williams as well.
Yeah.
I think he's a legitimate big man to build around, or with LaMelo and a defensive type of center. I really like the addition of Grant Williams as well to try to add that defensive culture and listen, whatever happened in Dallas, I can't I can't tell you what happened in Dallas. Maybe Lucas would pass the ball more.
He's gonna add a culture, that's for sure.
Maybe Lucas would pass the ball more, man. I don't know.
Whoa!
But look, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Went
in
to
Dallas,
the NBA
man.
Finals. No,
he did. But
they got all the Mavs over there. They got Grant Williams. They got Seth Curry. They have Josh Green. Everybody that used to be a Mav. Yeah, they did have Davis, and then they bought him out.
Yeah, and I think with those additions, like a Josh Green, like a Grant Williams, and with Mark Williams coming back from injury this year, hopefully he's fully healthy. I think they're trying to add more defensive type of players with LaMelo and with the Brand Miller. I'm just really high on LaMelo and their young talent with Brand Miller and Mark Williams. I like the pieces they've added around 3-and-D guys, athletic defenders, and Josh Green. I like Seth Curry on the team as well. I think this is a team, and also I like Salon, their rookie that they drafted. So I liked him pre-draft as well. Really, it has to do with the fact that the over-under I'm looking at is 29.5.
Yep.
Like, they should. I think that's easy. I feel like they should easily hit over 29.5. LaMelo's really good, and they won 21 games with him only playing 22. So it's like if he plays at least 70,
you go over that, and that's 9 more wins, and so that's like a double-digit win added. That would be a leap, and it's kind of like a leap back because they were a team that was a play-in team for a couple years there, and yeah, it's going to depend on LaMelo's health. Mark Williams' health is massive, maybe more important, just because who do you have to replace him? Nick Richards. And you're like, all right, Taj Gibson's still hanging out back there.
Former Piston this past year.
Yeah, there you go. Coming up, let's get into the other teams. The Grizzlies are an obvious choice to make a big leap, but I've got another team too, a mystery team I'll tell you about. I think it's going to make a leap coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com and select your players, select 2 to 6 players, and more or less on their stat projections. You can go pick all kinds of different players. Caitlin Clark playing in the playoffs right now for her team. Go check out any of the stuff that they have for basketball. Go check out some of the stuff they have for football right now. You can go pick more or less on touchdowns, more or less on Caitlin Clark points, and combine all that kind of stuff. Pretty fun to be able to do that if you're watching split screen different leagues on at the same time. And Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So if you got that parlay set up, you got all the different things, all of a sudden you can still hit on those even if one of them doesn't hit. So go check out, download the Prize Picks app today. Use that code LOCKEDONNBA and get $50 instantly when you play $5. So just put $5 in your account, get $50 instantly when you use that code LOCKEDONNBA on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly. You don't need to even win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time helps you get to go to things. Going to things is still fun in 2024. Comedy, concerts, theater, shows like that. Go check out and see what's available in your city. Go to Game Time or download the app and see what's available. They have all kinds of tickets all over the place. You have the views from your seat, which I love, the panoramic view that gets to you're able to see what your view is going to look like. All right, this concert, how's it set up? Where's the stage going to be? You can see exactly where that is. So you got to love that. I also love the all-in pricing. You just toggle on the all-in pricing feature, and it shows you exactly what you're going to pay at checkout at the beginning, so you don't get surprised by fees. I love that about Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being an everydayer, listening every day. We have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day, like Locked On Pistons with Ku Khahil, Locked On Mavs with me and Isaac Harris. All kinds of stuff on the Mavs and the Pistons as we get ready. Media Day right around the corner, man. Like we're right back in it.
Yeah, Monday's media day for the Pistons.
We're talking about today the teams that are going to make the biggest leaps. We talked about the Spurs. We talked about the Hornets. The Memphis Grizzlies. This is obvious. This is an obvious team. It was injured last year and is going to come back. They won 27 games last year. Their over-under is 47.5. If they hit the over on that, that's 20 more wins. Ku, how do they hit 20 more wins?
Ja Morant. Like, literally, it's just as simple as that. Like, Ja Morant coming back healthy is going to warp the entire team and take them back to where they were 2 seasons ago in the Western Conference. I feel like people have, like, for some reason, have just forgotten how good Ja Morant was. Like, I get the whole, like everything that went on with him off the court. But like, it's not like anything happened to him on the court that should have you thinking, oh, he's not Ja. So like,
he got hurt though, right? He got hurt and he had to sit out. So
no, but people were out on Ja before the season even started because he was suspended, and people were acting like he wasn't him.
For sure.
So,
No,
like,
he had the shoulder injury, and so he's coming back from that, and so we'll see. But 9 games last year, that basically didn't play, right?
Yeah, this is a dude who was talked about as the face of the NBA before the whole incidents that was going on off the court. Like he is one of the best players in the entire NBA. When Ja Morant is healthy and at his peak, I will go out on a limb and I'll say right now he is an easy top 10 basketball player in the NBA. Like Ja Morant is that good.
The new
this is a dude who he was 7th in the MVP voting 2 years ago. This is a guy
he was second team All NBA.
Yeah, like this is. I feel like people are just like for some reason like letting the off the court stuff make them forget just like how great this dude. Like he came back from the suspension, played 9 games. I believe in the first game hit a game winner against the Pelicans, like instantly, just like off the bat, like off the streets, off the pickups. He was at the couch playing 2K and came in
around
and
the
hit
team.
a buzzer beater. Yeah, it is what it is. But he comes in off the couch and hits a buzzer beater. Like this is a dude who is just a straight hooper and is one of the best players in the entire NBA. This is in the playoffs. Let me read you his stats through the playoffs recently. His first year in the playoffs, 30 points, 8 assists on 48% shooting. Or 2 years ago, 27.1 points, 9.8 assists per game. This past season, when he hurt his hand, 24.6 points a game, not this past season, but the season before when he hurt his hand. 24.6 points a game, 7 assists, shooting 42% from deep. Like, he is one of the best players in the NBA, and people are forgetting that.
I think the player that kind of usurped him as the next young face of the league was Anthony Edwards. So right now, would you rather have a healthy Ja Morant? No, he's got over Anthony Edwards?
I think I'll go out on a limb and say this right now. I think Anthony Edwards is getting to a point where he's becoming overrated.
You would take Ja, even with the defense, even with the athleticism, knowing that Ja's frame compared to Anthony Edwards' frame doesn't hold up that long. Like, look at what happened to Derrick Rose this week.
I mean, we're not going to wish we're not going to say any of that stuff with compared.
No, I'm not saying he's going to get injured. I'm just saying that it like guys like that rely on athleticism like that, they don't last as long as guys that are just, a beast like Anthony Edwards is.
I think with Anthony, don't get me mistaken. Anthony Edwards is one of the best players in the league as well. Yeah. But Anthony Edwards, I feel like has, because of what happened with Ja, and because so many European players you got Jokic, who's one of the, either first or second in the world. You got Giannis, you got Luka. Like that's your top 3 in the world. None of them are American players, and people don't like Jason Tatum for some reason. So I feel like the media was really what.
I'll tell you why later.
Okay, we'll see. But but I feel like the media was just hurrying to find the next American player to really push, and it was Anthony Edwards because of what happened with Ja. So is Anthony Edwards great? He is, but I feel like people are pushing him into a conversation that he's not yet at. And I feel like people are forgetting Ja went head to head against Steph Curry in the play-in and sent Steph home. Like this is a dude, if it wasn't for him hurting his hand, probably sends Golden State home in the second round. Like this is how good Ja was. People were people were talking about him as the face of the league before the whole incident. He had all the commercials all over the place. Like everyone loved Ja. Ja is like how good were the Grizzlies? Before the year everything started popping off. Like Ja's gonna put people on notice this year. Like people are forgetting how good Ja is.
Okay, they shan't forget. Go listen to Locked On Grizzlies, and DeMichael Cole and Joe Mullinax will remind you every day about that and how good they were. Last team I have that I think is going to make a leap.
Don't say the Pistons.
Their over-under is 25.5.
Is it?
They won 14 games last season. If they go over, that's 12. That's over 12 more wins. That's more than the leap that the Hornets are going to take that we just talked about. Tell me why the Pistons won't. I bait and switched it. I bait and switched him so hard. He left the mic. He left the mic and he went. His Piston sign in the background is turned off.
It's been off for a few months. Ever since Dark Ku happened, it's been off since then. Look, in all seriousness, look at the last few years. They're over under. They haven't hit the over on their over. This is like a going meme in the Pistons community over the last few years. Because every year, everyone believes, oh, this is going to be the year they hit the over, and they never do. So, no, you're not going to get me with this one. No, I've said it many times. They're not going to get me with the okie doke again. It's not going to happen.
This year, not adding veterans, Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway, Malik Beasley, like not adding any of those guys. That doesn't move anything. Fontecchio was good last year.
Look, you're going to make me say some things that are going to frustrate my Locked On Pistons listeners. But look, this is just a simple case. This is what it is, man. The Pistons did add some veterans.
Yeah.
But they had veterans last year. They had Bojan. They had Alec Burks. So these are just name brand, Alec Burks and Bojan. Like, is Tobias better than Bojan? Yes. Is he infinitely better? Probably not.
Are you saying Tim Hardaway Jr. is Nepo Alec Burks?
Tim Hardaway Jr. I don't think he's going to be in the rotation. So
wow.
That's how, like, you know how bad he was after January for you guys. Like,
yeah, but in the regular season, he was 6th man of the year candidate for most of the year.
Yeah, then after January, went back down to earth and just.
Well, they made trades and they moved it. They didn't need him as much.
Look, this is the only way the Pistons are hitting the over. It's not because of the vets. It's not because of the vets they add. It's not because of JP Bickerstaff. We just gotta keep it real. It's because either Kay Cunningham makes the capital L leap,
yeah,
or Jaden Ivey or Jalen Duren or Sar Thompson improve. Like they're kind of what the Spurs did. They basically did the same kind of thing than the Spurs did. Instead of going out and using that $60 million of cap space to go get like a legit impactful player, they decided to run it back again with their young core and be like, you know what, we're going to get vets and we're going to bet you guys are going to get better again for the 7th straight year and hope that this time goes different.
To me, they're more like the Rockets, where the Rockets had all these young guys and then they used their space to add Fred VanVleet, and instead the Pistons used their space to add Tobias Harris.
Well, see, this is the thing. The Houston Rockets added guys that could play defense, and then got a coach that believed in defense, and then put their cap on defense. The Pistons have said they want to play defense. They went out and hired JP Bickerstaff, who's a defensive coach, and then built the offensive roster. So,
I want one team at Media Day to say we don't want to play defense this season. We're going all out. We're going all out on offense. Every team wants to play faster. Every team wants to play defense.
Well, the team I said in the first segment might be that team. LaMelo, I could see LaMelo saying something like that. I 100% could see LaMelo being like, man, we could just run. If we just score, we're gonna score more than people. Like I can see him saying something like that with like a little bit more bravado and style. But
coming up, a guy that played a lot of defense in his career, Kawhi Leonard, is out again. Where should he be considered right now in the NBA? We'll talk about that and Jason Tatum and more coming up. Count it up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds and things that you can use to get in on the action at FanDuel. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. A team that you can be proud of is the Detroit Lions right now. So go check out, see what they have available on FanDuel. All kinds of stuff there. If you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page that you place your bets on FanDuel. So go check that out during NFL games. Go see what's available to you. As I'm looking at this right now, the Detroit Lions, Ku's team, are a 3.5-point favorite at home against the Seahawks. So go check that out and see what's available for you. And while you're at it, if you put down $5, you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed if it's your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Again, check it out, FanDuel.com.
Big chicken, baby.
Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
What did Stephen A say?
It's counted up, where we count on the most interesting, fun things in sports in the NBA.
What?
Clipper
shout out Lions real quick, baby. Go blue. Honolulu blue.
Go blue. Clipper star Kawhi Leonard underwent a procedure on his knee in the offseason, according to Shams Charania and Law Murray, our guy. The franchise said today that Leonard will be limited to strengthening his knee to start Clippers training camp, but team officials are optimistic about his progress. I think Lawrence Frank also said that the swelling is not down yet. He was going to play in the Olympics. It's all wild for Kawhi. I just talked to Darian Baziri, Locked On Clippers. I was over the phone before we recorded this, and he went on like a 5-minute monologue just with me and him on the phone, like audience of one, where he was talking about how insane it is right now that Kawhi was going to play in the Olympics. My question is, Ku, at one point, Kawhi was a top 3 to 5 player in the league. But now, should we even consider Kawhi top 20, 25? Where do we even consider Kawhi? Consider injuries.
All right, so if you are considering injuries,
yeah,
obviously it's knocking him down. Like, it obviously has to knock him down quite a bit. But I want to make it clear. When Kawhi Leonard is on the court healthy, he probably is still like a top 7 player in the NBA. Like when he is actually healthy, he is like
He was good last year.
Like he was playing a lot of games this past year.
68.
Made All NBA second team. This dude was 52% from the field, almost 42% from deep, and 88% from the free throw line. Like Kawhi is him. When Kawhi is on the court, he is quite literally one of the handful of like I've asked this question before. A healthy Kawhi in the playoffs, I don't know if there's anyone else I'm taking over.
Well,
even still,
I saw it firsthand. The second year the Mavs played the Clippers, fourth quarter of that game was a game 5. He just went off, and you just could not stop him. And
yeah,
it was insane to watch.
Like the last playoffs, he was healthy. Played 2 games. It was against KD, I believe. 2 games.
Well,
and people were like, "Oh God, they might beat them."
This past year he played 2 games. Yeah, it was the year before he played 2 games.
Yeah, the year before.
KD. This past year he played 2 games against the Mavs, and it didn't work out. But that's my point. Is he's played four games in the last 2 playoff series he's played in, and what do we consider him as? Because to me, I don't know if you can put him in the top 20 anymore.
I'm keeping him in the top 20 just because I don't think there's anyone else like in the top 20 that you'd put that has the talent and skill to be, when they're healthy, as good as Kawhi is. So his ceiling, I think, still averages him out to top 10 because his ceiling's so high. I think that still keeps him up there. But I mean, I can't blame anyone for the injuries knocking him down. It's just he's too good when he's healthy to like if I were to tell you, like even just saying Kawhi's not a top 20 player, that just sounds insane. That just sounds crazy.
It does.
Like,
but you just went off about how good Ja is. Would you take Ja over Kawhi?
Like injuries considered, yeah, I'd have to.
There's one. Anthony Edwards, we just talked about. You'd take him. How about like a Pascal Siakam?
No.
There's one right there. Steph Curry, Draymond Green on the Warriors. Either one.
Draymond, no. Steph, I'll take over him.
Do both on there. We just talked about Fred VanVleet. Would you take Fred over him?
Absolutely. See, this is what we're talking about. This is just disrespectful. That's crazy.
Donovan Mitchell.
No.
You take Kawhi.
I think Kawhi's just straight up better than Donovan Mitchell, yeah.
But injury-wise, you get 50-something games of Kawhi Leonard and 2 in the playoffs, or you get every game from Donovan Mitchell.
Look, people are going to start hating me, bro, but Donovan Mitchell is another player I have on my overrated list. So, like...
Okay.
Really good player, but just not as... Just you know...
Another really good player, Jason Tatum, recently revealed a tattoo that he got of himself kissing the Larry O'Brien trophy. My question is very simple, Ku.
Count it up.
Closer to cringe or cool?
Look, man, us light skins gotta stick together, bro. Simple as that. So cool. Look.
You get a picture of yourself on your body.
Listen, bro. We ain't got none of us won a championship. Ain't none of us got nothing to kiss and take a picture of. I thought
you were gonna go off on. We don't got much time on this earth, man. You gotta enjoy it while you're here.
I mean, what do we got?
I thought you were going.
What have we achieved in our lives that is good enough to take a picture of and put it on your body? We ain't got nothing like a Larry O'Brien. What do we got? A salary? We're gonna take a picture of our paycheck with.
You got married.
Hey man, he's married too. So it's like I don't know.
He had a son.
I think he's married.
Deuce.
Yeah.
Okay,
look, man. What's Larry O'Brien trophy is something that we can't even think of. So and like I said, us light skins gotta stick together. You feel me? So
you're sticking with it and cool.
Yeah, cool, man. I like it. All of his tattoos, even like the the back one that everyone was making fun of too. That we rocking with it, bro.
You're in on that. Memphis is rocking with Tony Allen. He's getting his jersey retired for the Grizzlies in March this season. Bunch of younger fans are bringing up his statistics and go like, "Hey, this guy averaged 6 points a game. How are we retiring this guy's jersey?" But 6-time All Defensive Team, all with the Grizzlies. Played 462 games for Memphis. That's 6 all-time for Memphis. 56 playoff games all from Memphis, which is 3rd for Memphis all time. But my question to you is simple:
Count it up.
Did he deserve it?
No.
Whoa!
We gotta stop.
What do you mean?
We have to stop.
6-time all defensive. 6 times he was one of the 10 best defenders in the league.
We have to stop this. We have to stop doing this. Teams have to stop retiring your jersey is supposed to be meant for the creme de la creme of your franchise.
He's 3rd all time in playoff games played. That is they don't have a creme.
Nick,
The creme brulee from them, they didn't get to blowtorch the sugar on top. Like
Nick,
it's not. They don't have it.
Is Tony Allen a top 20 player in Grizzlies history?
Yes.
He might be top 20. We retired.
He might be a top 5 player. They don't have a lot of
not.
Powell.
No, he is not top 5 player.
Mark Gasol, both of the Gasols.
Can we
throw
keep
in
it
Conley?
There's probably multiple players on the current Grizzlies roster that were better. Zach Randolph. Like there's multiple players on this current roster. Listen.
You just named all of them. We just named all of them. That's like 5.
No, you got Jaren Jackson Jr. Is he a better basketball player than Tony Allen?
He won a Defensive Player of the Year. That's a pretty good case already.
Even without that, take that away. He's just a better basketball player than Tony Allen. We got to stop. Look, you want to know something?
It's about what the player means to the franchise. Because the Mavs retired Brad Davis's jersey. And if you go back and look at Brad Davis's numbers and you're like, all right, that guy is really not probably, like, you probably shouldn't. But he was one of the first good players for the Mavs. And like, yeah, he averaged 8 points a game for his career. Never made an All-Star or anything.
Is that a jersey hanging up type of player? That should be reserved. That should be reserved for the best players in your like. You want to know what really started all this BS of just retiring role players that people like? Nick Collison. When Nick Collison got his jersey retired.
Hold on, we call Rylan.
Whether it's OKC or Seattle, that's when it all started. This would be the equivalent of like Lindsey Hunter getting his jersey retired for the Pistons. Like, come on. Like there should only legit be Hall of Fame, like greatest players in your franchise's history. Yeah, and this goes across all franchises. You should not just be retiring fun role players.
Did you have a player in Pistons history that like means a lot to the franchise? Like Blake Griffin to you means a lot to the franchise.
If they retired Blake Griffin's jersey, that would be a spin in the face. He played one good season. There is no way that you would be able to hang up Blake Griffin's jersey and say he is one of the best players in Pistons history. He played 1 year. Not only do you need to be a fantastic, like legitimate elite player for the franchise, you need to play a long time for the franchise as well. He played a long time. I'll give him that. He wasn't elite.
Okay. I'm with it though. I think that the impact that the player makes should count. It doesn't have to just be on the court.
No, I'll go for another 30 minutes about this.
He gave them an identity. Tony Allen did. Grit and grind. That was him and Zach Randolph, and that gave him an identity.
That's perfect. You know what people celebrate him for when they have the grit and grind. Isn't that what it is? Grit and grind reunions. When they have that, he can show up and be celebrated.
And he can look up and see that his jersey is retired.
No, he shouldn't be up there because he's not on the same level as a Zach Randolph or Marc Gasol. You know what it is? It actually is a spin in the face to Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph that you're trying to put Tony Allen on the same player as arguable Hall of Famers. Marc Gasol is legitimately a borderline Hall of Famer, and you're putting a role player who was good at defense,
6-time all defense.
Is he on the same caliber of player as Mark?
No, but
it's disrespectful to Mark to try.
For the Lakers, is Pau Gasol on the same as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
No, but Pau
they're the same distance apart.
Yeah, but Pau was a legit. He could have won the Finals MVP the year they won. Like he was a legitimate all-star, elite, top 10, 15 player with the Lakers. Was Tony Allen a top 100 player when he played for the Grizzlies? Can we keep it a buck? Was he even a top 100 player in the NBA? I don't care about how emotional and how much you get the crowd to scream. Were you a top 100 basketball player? Can we keep it a stack?
Was he a top 100 player?
Nick? Do you think he was ever at any point in Tony Allen's career? Was he a top 100 basketball player?
Listen. Your voice is reaching so far back into your throat right now that I can't. You can't say it more full throated than this right now.
If the Pistons came out and tried to retire a name like Antonio McDice, or like if they tried to do something like that, you know how furious I would be. No, I don't want those guys, those names that maybe were loved next to a Chauncey Billups.
But your team has titles. Your team has titles. For a team like the Hornets or the Grizzlies that don't have that, you got to do something.
Keep it blank until you have something that's worth it going up there. Because you know what teams that have championships and have actual people that deserve to be up there do? They come in there and they laugh at the names that you actually have up there. Oh, this is what your history is? You have just wait till you actually have good history?
You're saying it.
You just want to celebrate bad history? That's what it is.
It's their history, though.
It is good history with the Grizzlies. It is. That's why Zach Randolph should be up there. Marc Gasol should be up there. Even Mike Conley. Because those were legitimate, really good players.
Ku wants to tear down all the statues. There you go. Let us know in the comment section. Should Tony Allen's jersey have been retired? And I'm going to send this clip over to Locked On Grizzlies, and they're going to have fun with it. So go listen to Locked On Grizzlies for that. Go listen to Locked On Pistons for Ku. He'll have more rants, I'm sure. Locked On Mavs, where we're ranking players, we're doing all kinds of stuff, getting ready for Media Day. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA.